This live stream brought to you by the Excelsior Citizen and these generous sponsors. The Simmons Sales Team, your hometown realtors. Find out how you can advertise with Excelsior Springs' #1 community resource. Visit ExcelsiorCitizen.com today.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman Spahn?
Yes. Here.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, are there any visitors this evening that would like to address the council that are not on the agenda? Okay. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of June 21st, 2022.
I move we approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting of June 21st, 2022.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Spahn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Minutes of the special city council meeting of June 30th, 2022.
I move we approve the meeting minutes of June 30 special city council meeting.
Second. Second.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Spahn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, consideration of agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Spahn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, our first agenda item, I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing number 2 for the 2019 wastewater treatment plant digester number 2 project and 2019 Jesse James Road street improvements Miller Cabinets project.
I move we open the public hearing number 2 for 2019 wastewater treatment plant digester number 2 project, 2019 Jesse James Road street improvements Miller Cabinets project.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon.
Councilman Spahn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, so we are now in our public hearing. Lisa? This is Lisa Danbury from Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Molly, for the opportunity to be able to help you all administer Community Development Block Grant funds for 2 grants that were awarded back in 2019 for a digester, a second duplicate digester at your wastewater treatment plant, and also the expansion of Miller Cabinets that included improvements to Jesse James Road that were funded with both CDBG and EDA funding. As a part of the requirements for this, there was an initial hearing when, at the beginning of the projects. That's like the hearing number 1, and then hearing number 2 is the closeout hearing. We did meet with CDBG staff late in June to go over the items necessary for documentation, for monitoring, and so we'll be wrapping up some things with that, and there'll be some final paperwork, Mayor, that you will help sign, and I'll work with Molly on making sure that we get all the documentation submitted for CDBG. So I'd like to start with the digester project, and again, it'll just be a brief overview of what the funding was for, and then the total costs. So the project for the duplicate digester, it was awarded $750,000 in community development block grant funds, and the city committed a match of $838,420 for a total of $1,588,420. So this project constructed a duplicate digester, which is an above-ground structure right next to the existing digester, and the purpose of this one is so that the first digester can be removed from service and have regular maintenance, because that was a problem originally when the wastewater treatment plant was planned. It was planned with 2 digesters, but due to funding, only one was constructed, and so then there was then when it came time to try and manage the one digester, you had to kind of deal with the sludge from that in an alternate manner. So the digester has a 90-foot diameter and a 20-foot side water depth, and it provides a volume of 951,700 gallons. It has a T-valve with a 4-foot 6-inch of travel to provide draw for the supernatant. Is that how you say that? Supernatant. And the piping will connect the structure to the plant and equipment to aerate and keep the sludge moving through the treatment process. And the project included excavation, fill material, a concrete pad, and a sidewalk. And again, it is a replica of the one that's already there. The city went out to bid last spring. You had 6 proposals, and the low bidder was David A. Ross Construction, and for $1,433,800. And the original budget for construction was less than that. It was $1,347,800. So the city capital improvement authority authorized an additional funds of $86,005 to make up that difference, to make it so that the project could move forward. In the end, though, there was one change order that removed the contingency fees and some of the testing that wasn't necessary. So the final actual pay app was very close to the original estimate of it was $1,377,976. Lamprey Nearson was your engineer. The engineering fees are approximately $200,620, but we're still finalizing those figures. And then for Mid-America Regional Council, our administrative cost for administering the grant was $26,000. So not all of that is completely documented with the state. We'll work on that. But again, so then the total estimated project was $1,604,596, and so the city will be providing a surplus match of approximately $16,000 for that. And so I just present this. The city does qualify for these funds because of your low to moderate income threshold. It has to be over 51% to be able to apply for these funds, and you all are at 52.98%. And you served 11,084 people based on the original population that CDBG allows. So with that, if there's any comments about this project, I'd be happy to help address any questions that folks may have. And if not, I can move on to the next project. All right, I shall move on. So the next project was the city working with Miller Cabinets. They were interested in expanding their facility, actually moving and constructing a new facility so that they could better streamline their processes. And so they had worked to secure some land, and as a part of the project, they ended up doing some sewer improvements to move the sewer line. So they handled that part of it. Their commitment to the project was $4.5 million. And then on the city side, in order to make the improvements to Jesse James Road, there was $400,000 that the city was able to apply for through CDBG. They allow, it's $20,000 for every job created, and so Miller Cabinets is committed to creating 20 new jobs from the project. And the facility opened last summer, so we're in the process of working with them to track the job creation. And then a part of their commitment is at least 51%, so 11 people have to be someone who was in the low to moderate income prior to joining their company. The work to be done on Jesse James Road, there was an existing problem at the intersection for Rainbow Boulevard, Jesse James Road, and Meadowlark Lane, and so that was addressed. There was widening of Jesse James Road to allow for the truck traffic, and it added curbs and gutters on each side. And then Jesse James Road was extended a little ways, and a cul-de-sac added for a turnaround, just to better accommodate the activities at the site, and I think to address, like emergency response vehicles and that kind of thing. The city also, so in addition to the $400,000, the city was able to get a $500,000 grant from the Economic Development Administration, and so for this type of infrastructure. So the total, and the city was committing $100,000 as match. So it was $1 million project. So how this came in, so the city went out to bid early last summer, and they had 4 bidders, and the winning bid was Superior Bowen for $728,141.65. There was one change order that increased the cost by $34,756.33, and that was basically to help abut to the streetscape project that you had. There were some bike lanes and that kind of thing, so there was just some curving and adjustments. And then I think there was working with the sod company. There was an anticipation that you were going to do seating, and then you decided to do sod, so there were some cost adjustments for that. So with that, the total construction cost came in at $762,897.98. The engineering fees, which we're still finalizing, were approximately $127,950, and those were reduced because originally in the scope the sewer realignment was included, and since Miller had that in their budget and they went ahead and did it, then that reduced the fees for your engineering, and then also reduced the scope for your project. And then Mark's administration for both helping to administer the EDA grant and the CDBG grant was $32,880, and then there was another materials testing contract with Caw Valley Engineering, and it was approximately $2,800. It might be more. We're still finalizing with them on that. So at this point in time, based on what we anticipate, the total cost is approximately $926,527.98. So if you look at EDA, will pay 1-to-1 match, so up to 50%. So of that, we anticipate EDA's commitment will be approximately $463,263.99, or I'll round it up to $264. And then, on the other side of that, CDBG committed their $400,000. So that leaves the city's current commitment at $63,264. So when you applied for the grant, you committed $100,000. We don't anticipate that CDBG will request that be proportional, but we'll work with them to finalize that. Otherwise, your match commitment is short about $36,736. But there is there's a single audit that needs to be done for this project and the other project. So there's opportunity to bring in some more match for that. And then on the Miller Cabinets, so we'll be working with Miller Cabinets to document the 20 jobs creation and also their $4.5 million match. And so their match was land that they purchased from Ameren, as well as there'll be leasing kind of within the confines of the company. There'll be lease dollars there, and then their engineering fees and their construction costs. So they'll be able to document well over $4.5 million. So if we need an extra private shift to maybe make up for the the city's portion, hopefully that works out, and the dollars, you'll be able to not have to commit the full 100,000 for the project. So if any questions on that, I'd be happy to help clarify anything I said.
We really appreciate your availability for this, because there's a lot of detail that is really nice for us to have your assistance for.
Thank you, Molly. So with that, if there are no comments about the projects, this concludes the hearing for my
For
portion.
your portion, well, thank you for coming and doing
Thank
that.
you.
Yes,
You're
thank
very
you.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
Congratulations on your
Thank
2
you.
projects.
Yeah.
And the facility is beautiful.
It
It
is,
is.
very much so.
It is.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Number 2 for the 2019 wastewater treatment plant digester 2 project and the 2019 Jesse James Road improvement with Miller Cabinets.
I make a motion to close the public hearing for the wastewater treatment and the Jesse James Road project.
Second?
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spawn,
He said yes. Yeah. He-
Councilman
he mouthed
Kowalski?
it.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, the public hearing
Thank
is
you.
now closed. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, our agenda item number 2 is the presentation downtown visitation analysis for the second quarter of 2022. Lindsay Baxter.
Hello, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Good evening. I will try and make this brief because I feel like I have a lot of pieces of paper here. First, I will start with second quarter overview from what we were able to pull from Placer AI. There was just under 105,000 visits in downtown that came from just under 50,000 visitors. They had an average dwell time of 92 minutes with a visit frequency of 2.09. On the second page for the monthly visits trend, you can see a comparison between all of the months in that quarter for the last 3 years. We did see a fairly large dip during the month of May, but when we discussed it at our Economic Vitality Committee meeting, we went back and looked at the weather, and it was extremely rainy last May in 2021. So we're thinking that maybe, or excuse me, rainy this year. But our June picked up quite substantially. Hours of visitation, you can see the breakdown of what periods that people are here on the map. I will say this is relatively consistent and extremely similar to the first quarter of the year. Daily visits by day of the week, you can see the breakdown on that for the last 3 years. I will add, after our last presentation, it was brought up that the possibility of an increase on Tuesdays could have come from court attendance on that day. Since that time, I have reached out to Terrence Swoboda. She has supplied me with a total court cases heard for 2020, 2021. She's on a new system this year, so having some trouble tracking the data we need, but I think we'll be able to have it to me by December. We'll have to be somewhat careful with that because some persons might come in with 1 case, some might come in with 6 cases, but all she has is just total cases. But that'll give us an idea, and I think we'll give a better picture when we look at the entire year together. The length of stay visits breakdown, again, very similar to what we see during the first quarter and when we look at annual reports. Not much to note there. Top 10 zip codes are included there. 23.73% is from the 64024 zip code. All of the Kansas City zip codes total 11.71%, and then of all our visitation, 76.37 come from the top 70 zip codes, with 16 of those being from out of the state of Missouri. You can see the trade area coverage of our visitation as well. Again, very consistent with what we see regularly occurring in all of the other quarters. Are there any questions on the second quarter report before I move on to the event breakdowns? Perfect. chocolate tour. I will go over these relatively quick because I developed a spreadsheet that I also believe you guys had. You can review them. I will say on the events, well, for instance, chocolate tour is very interesting because we only sell 400 tickets. We still had over 2,200 people come to the streets of downtown that day. You can see the length of visit for the event in which people come for the chocolate tour. For our visitor demographics for that event, 20.34% of those individuals are from Excelsior Springs, so just over 79% are from out of town. And for that event, 100% of the visitation comes from the top 70 zip codes. And again, on the trade area coverage, very similar breakdown on where people are coming from. One thing that I added to the event reports that are not included in the quarterly reports is the ethnicity of attendees. You'll see across the map on all of the event reports that pretty much stays the same. There's not much change there. It includes the average household income, which for the chocolate tour was $82,700. And then I included prior and post locations so we can see where they are going when they are leaving the district or where they were before they came here. You will also see that I did one for sipping into springtime. I will let you look at most of it, but I will just add the average household income for that one was $80,300. For our wine festival, slightly different venue, so you can see on the front that map had been changed out. The time that people stayed here, on that one, 100% of our visitation came from the top 70 zip codes, and all of our attendees together, only 24.04% were from the 64024 zip code. Again, trade area coverage, very similar. Average household income, $82,500. For our Waterfest event, you will see all of the basic statistics. 96.73% of total visitation came from the top 70 zip codes. 46.91% of those people were Excelsior Springs residents. Slightly different trade area coverage for that. We see a bigger increase in the 1 to 2 mile distance by home location on that one. And average household income for that one was $71,900. Can't speak whenever I speak. 71.9K. How's that sound? And for it to make a little bit more sense, it's easy for me to throw a report at you and not have much to compare it to. So I went through and put together a spreadsheet that breaks down the chocolate tour, sipping into springtime, wine festival, Waterfest, barbecue flying on the river, mug shots, Christmas kickoff, and small business Saturday. I would have liked to have included the lane of lights, but it doesn't take long enough to drive through the lane of lights to constitute a visit, so I didn't have data to report. This breaks down each of those events from 2017 on, so you can see the growth in visits, growth or decreases, changes, whatever it may be, in visits, visitors, average dwell time, average household income, and then the percentage of 64024 attendees. If there is an ID, like I stated on Friday, that means insufficient data. If it says not applicable, that means the event was not held that year. And if it says COVID, we canceled because of COVID. Are there any questions on any of the data?
It also says flood.
I think there was one of those that I had to put on. Yes.
It's really nice to look at it.
It is
and
great. Thank you.
Compare what's happening.
It is. I will say, from being able to look at those trade area markers and seeing where people are coming from, I found some markets that have a pretty decent sized heat map that we hadn't spent advertising dollars in before because we hadn't heard from our overnight accommodations that they were seeing an influx of people from there. So that's been nice to see, and a place for us to direct some of our ARPA marketing dollars that we've received.
I was surprised at the difference in numbers of the chocolate tour versus the wine festival. That was interesting because, as you said, we only sell 400 tickets, but yet it exceeded the wine festival.
Yes, so We only sell 400 tickets, but my map encompasses the entire downtown district, so anyone can come in or out of it on that
Okay.
day without a ticket, whereas to get into the wine festival grounds, you meet a gate and you pay or you don't go.
So is the wine festival more restricted on, in this particular area versus?
It takes place over on Lover's Lane.
Right, but is your data just looking at that particular
Yes.
region, not downtown?
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I could spend
I know.
like probably my whole job on this site, and I have to turn it off sometimes. But yeah, it's been fun, and it's interesting to be able to track, you know, specifically visits and visitors for all of our events, to figure out, you know, did we have a bad year, did we have an off year, are we trending down, are we trending up, what should we do differently, those kinds of things. So yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Maybe this data can help us with our Communities of Excellence report next
Sure.
time. Because they're always saying we need more data.
Here I am.
There you
Yeah.
are, our data queen.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Okay, our third item is the presentation update on 353 projects. Laura?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I do have a PowerPoint, if that's possible to pull that up. I'm happy to come from the Community Development Department today to bring you some updates on what's happening in our 353 program. It's really been exciting to work on and meet people who are that invested in making improvements in downtown, that they're really putting a lot of dollars behind their plans. There it goes. Thank you very much. So the house that we see there is 407 East Broadway, which was done by Gary and Kim Sanson, and that is a home that was slated for demolition. So the Chapter 353 tax abatement enabled them to be able to rescue a historic home from our historic district, and it's making a big impact on that block. This home is now owner occupied, so it's also gone from what was a rental status to now a more stable situation, so it brings stability on that block as well. Next slide, please. So the whole purpose of Chapter 353 tax abatement is to enable people to encourage redevelopment, enables our city to encourage redevelopment of blighted areas by providing real property tax abatement. So it's twofold. We're removing blight and encouraging redevelopment. Next slide, please. The heart of our program is the Excelsior Springs Redevelopment Corporation, with 5 board members, and they faithfully serve to meet and consider projects that people bring forward to determine if they meet all of the eligibility requirements to be considered for a 353 tax abatement, and then they make a recommendation to council for approval. The board members are chaired by Bill Griffey III, and Mike Edwards, Kelly Kincaid, Dr. Kent Powell, and Gary Sanson make up the rest of the board. Next slide, please. The agreement is the anchor to the whole program. The property owner agrees to remove blight, and the board agrees to arrange for tax abatement. The property owner will be responsible for the tax on the land value still, but the abatement occurs on the improvement value of the property. So the process begins when a property owner comes to discuss details of the program, come up with a scope of work that they're going to plan on doing. They go through the application process of submitting all kinds of photos and documentation. We meet with the Excelsior Springs Redevelopment Board, and they consider the project and make a recommendation for council. If that's approved, then we sign the agreement and construction begins. And once construction is completed, then city staff verify the work and the certification of costs. And then the property owner transfers the property by quitclaim deed to the board, and the board transfers it immediately back to the property owner, and that's what triggers the tax abatement. And once that happens, then the county assessor and collector are notified that there's a tax abatement attached to that property. So that's a process. On the next slide, we can see that a total of 20 properties have applied for tax abatement since 2018. And for this year's 2022 applicants, 3 of them are still in the construction phase. That's 514 Elms, 410 Concourse, and 415 South Thompson are still in the construction phase. The other projects from this year include the McCleary Building, 106 Saratoga, and 216 Spring Street. And at the moment, I have 9 inquiries, people who've just called and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is it something that would be appropriate for this program? So I have those people to follow up with and to keep an eye on permit applications as well. So permit applications come in for the district, then I know I can follow up with those folks. On the next slide, we can see the breakdown between residential and commercial properties. 9 of the approved abatements have been for residential and 11 for commercial. And on the next slide, we see the bottom line, a total of $355,688.27. I'm stumbling saying my words good. Has been approved for tax abatement. And on the next slide, we can see that the total amount invested in improvements is $1,828,802.28. So that's quite an excellent return for investment. So let's take a quick tour through the homes and businesses that have been approved for a 353 tax abatement. We'll start just north of the hall here on Benton Avenue. This is a home that Mark Spahn remodeled, and again, this was also it had been abandoned, and he rescued it in our historic district. 106 Saratoga is an apartment building now owned by Jeff Watkins. On the next slide, we take a stroll down Broadway and see Dennis Hartman's home, the home that Gary and Kim Sanson have redone, and then the Broadway Bar and Grill also has received a tax abatement. And on the next slide, moving down a little bit further on the block, Molly's studio and gallery, and then 235 East Broadway, and then the Eels redevelopment project from this is a single one we had in 2021 at 120 East Broadway. Then we turn the corner onto South Thompson, the old community center at 112 South Thompson, and then 216 Spring Street in the middle there that is now Casa de Vite, and that's another property that had been abandoned and was rescued from abandonment by and we have a new thriving business there. Same thing with 415 South Thompson, a new business there. He's still trying to figure out what to do with the tile. It's damaged. It takes some special materials and process to repair, and so that's why his project is not done yet, because he's trying to figure out what to do with the tile. Then 421 South Thompson, 423 South Thompson, and then dubious claims at 451 South Thompson all have received tax abatements. Around the corner then on St. Louis Street is the McCleary Building. He just got all fabulous new second-story windows and repaired some of the soffit that was damaged. 101 South Street is known as the Buckley, and that property actually won an award from the State of Missouri Preservation Department for the work done there. And then the Oaks apartment building has also received an abatement. Over on Concourse Avenue, we have 3 residential homes. The Blueberry House became the Lemon or Sunshine House, and 407 Concourse did some repair on their stonework and their chimney, and 410 Concourse is still in the process of construction, but their new coat of paint looks fabulous. That's made a tremendous difference there. And then the last property is 514 Elms Boulevard, which is a small apartment building. So those are the properties that we have had. apply and be approved for tax abatement. And the very last slide kind of emphasizes again that this is doing it's doing what it's intended to do. It's removing blight and encouraging property investment in our downtown. So thank you very much for allowing me to bring you an update on our Chapter 353 tax abatement, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Is the abatement transferable if
Yes.
someone sells the property? Okay.
Yes. So in the case of Mark Spawn's, I believe his sister now has the property. Same thing with 407 East Broadway. The new owner occupants there were able to take advantage of.
Okay.
Now they have the tax abatement.
And she loved me for that.
It's an adorable house. I love that project.
Well, it's a lot of work to administrate these projects. As we went to Liberty and talked with the economic development director, us 3 women at one time, when we were getting into this, and she said, it's so much work, and we said, well, is it worth it? And she said, oh, it's worth it. And so I appreciate all that you do on this program in working with the neighborhoods. You're just the perfect person to get out there
Well,
and make it
thank you.
happen. So thank you so much.
You get to meet the greatest people when you have a program like
Yes,
this.
true.
They're the people that really do care about making improvements in downtown. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. Agenda item number 4 is consideration of Chapter 400 zoning code amendments.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. A little bit of light reading for you over the weekend with our zoning code review. So you see that we are proposing this evening changes to the 402 historic preservation overlay, the 404 permits, enforcement amendments, penalties, 406 subdivision regulations, in the general 400 category. We pulled out 2 specific areas that we have not yet finalized. One was Chapter 401, which was the floodway and floodway fringe overlay district. That was pulled out at the request of SEMA. When we do our historic preservation zoning code, it is required to go to the State Historic Preservation Office. They signed off on that, and then the floodway and floodway fringe overlay district has to go to State Emergency Management for review. They came back and asked for a complete overhaul, so we've pulled that off of this evening's consideration. But what you see before you are zoning and subdivision regulations and development-related code sections that we reviewed. We've spent over a year doing this. Essentially, we were updating and correcting the zoning and subdivision regulations. Over time, as you change one part of the zoning code, you may find further down the road that it affects another piece of the code. And so the last year and a half, that's what we've been doing, is taking these and comparing these and right-sizing and creating the right code to bring before you this evening. The process is reflective of our land use and our development policy. Our primary focus in doing this was to update and make the corrections, to have policy discussions with our planning and zoning commission members and be able to bring those back to you. So this evening for your consideration, we have the Chapter 400 zoning code amendments. Would answer any questions you may have.
This is really a big project.
It has been a lot of
Yeah.
dedication from the Planning
Right.
and Zoning Commission.
Right. But we knew at the front side it would be a big deal.
We knew it was going to be a lot of work, and to get all the way through this, we'll turn around and we won't stop. Now we're going to go back and start looking at our comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
And so, but first, a planner, please.
Okay, an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 400 zoning regulations, Chapter 402 Historic Preservation Overlay District, Chapter 403 sign regulations, Chapter 404 permits, enforcement amendments, and penalties, and Chapter 406 subdivision regulations of the municipal code.
I move we take ordinance number 22-07-01, consideration of Chapter 400 zoning code amendments to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spawn. Councilman Kowalski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear.
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay. An ordinance amending Title IV, Chapter 400 Zoning Regulations, Chapter 402 Historic Preservation Overlay District, Chapter 403 Sign Regulations, Chapter 404 Permits, Enforcement and Amendments and Penalties, and Chapter 406 Subdivision Regulations of the Municipal Code.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-07-01, consideration of chapter 400 zoning code amendments.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman Spawn?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Agenda item number 5 is an ordinance authorizing and adopting the rezoning of certain property generally located in Lot 4, McCullough Industrial Park, a subdivision in Excelsior Springs, Clay County, Missouri, from District C3 Service Business District to District M1 Light Industrial District.
The property at 403 North Jesse James was previously used as Miller Cabinets. This was not consistent with the existing C3 on the property. It was a non-conforming use for the property. We had spoken to one of the owners back in August of last year about the need to rezone this if they were going to move forward with selling this or have another use for it that was manufacturing. The property owners now intend to sell it. If you saw Friday's paper, you probably know all about that sale, as there's a wholesale apparel business that would like to move in there and operate there. So we're excited to see another business coming into our community. And we have had conversations in the past that a move to a manufacturing zoning in this district would be appropriate. It conforms with the comprehensive plan. It conforms with our development standards. It's consistent with all of the uses around it. And we believe it meets the future land use for the area as well. So the Planning and Zoning Commission is bringing it to you this evening with their recommendation for approval. Would answer any questions you may have.
An ordinance authorizing and adopting the rezoning of certain property generally located in Lot 4, McCullough Industrial Park, a subdivision in Excelsior Springs, Clay County, Missouri, from District C3 Service Business District to District M1 Light Industrial District.
Move that we take ordinance number 22-07-02, consideration of rezoning 1403 North Jesse James Road to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilman Spawn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. An ordinance authorizing and adopting the rezoning of certain property generally located in Lot 4, McCullough Industrial Park, a subdivision in Excelsior Springs, Clay County, Missouri, from District C3 Service Business District to District M1 Light Industrial District.
I move that we approve ordinance number 22-07-02, consideration of rezoning 1403 North Jesse James Road.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Spawn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 6, an ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with Royal Construction Services, LLC, for the Community Center Outdoor Aquatics Project.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I drew the short straw out of the team, so you get to hear from me today. Yes, this is pretty self-explanatory. I think we've met about it a few times. We are comfortable moving forward with Royal Construction, so we're asking for approval for the $4.8 million to do the outdoor aquatics that anticipated to be done by May 1st of next year, which I think we could probably use it right now with this weather coming up this week, but pretty excited to get this going. happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have questions? Okay, an ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with Royal Construction Services LLC for the Community Center Outdoor Aquatics Project.
I move that we take ordinance number 22-07-03, consideration of agreement for Community Center Outdoor Aquatics Project to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an agreement with Royal Construction Services LLC for the Community Center Outdoor Aquatics Project.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 22-07-03, consideration of agreement for Community Center Outdoor Aquatics Project.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Let the fun begin.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you to you and Jesse. I know you guys did some extra legwork and due diligence, and much appreciated. Be excited to see this get started.
Jesse's done most of the work for us.
We appreciate all the work everybody has done. And SFS, Brian coming with the special meeting
Yes.
and everything, that was great. So
Been a team effort.
it has been, thank you. Okay, agenda item number 7.
Seven.
I'm gonna skip back to here. Consideration of agreement with Navitas for Phase 2. This is a resolution.
Yes, Ryan Terry came 2-3 months ago, spoke to you guys at a work session. Seemed like it was pretty self-explanatory laid out at that point, so we didn't feel there's really much of a need for him to have to come back tonight, but Jesse and I can answer any questions beyond that. But this would it's energy efficiency for the community center, with a big portion of that still going towards our Phase 2 project with the outdoor pool is a big benefit. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay, a resolution consideration of an agreement with Navitas for Phase 2.
I move we approve resolution number 1361, consideration of agreement with Navitas for Phase 2.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
It's Nate.
Okay, agenda item number 8 is a resolution, consideration of section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act policy.
So this is the strings from receiving CDBG funds. When accepting the funds from CDBG, the city assumes responsibility for making sure we're in compliance with ADA in our city facilities, operations, and policies. Also required is a grievance process and a policy for non-discrimination, which is provided for your consideration. I think there's 2 actions
There are.
on this.
So number 8 is the consideration of section 504, a 1973 Rehabilitation Act policy.
I move we approve resolution number 1362, consideration of section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act policy.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 9 is the second part of this. Consideration of section 504 ADA grievance procedure.
I make a motion, we approve resolution number 1363, consideration of section 504-88 grievance procedure.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilman Spawn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay, agenda item number 10 is a resolution consideration of golf cart purchase for the police department.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I am requesting council consideration to purchase a golf cart, a 2017 EasyGo electric golf cart at a total cost of $11,538. Little background on this one. As you heard from Ms. Baxter's report, the city hosts numerous events each year that brings in thousands and thousands of pedestrians to the downtown area. The golf cart would be used by officers to work those events, provide better coverage, increased visibility. The cart that we're looking at also is a four-seater that would allow for them to be able to assist elderly or maybe somebody injured or handicapped to get out of the area to their car. So as we began to research the purchase of this, we contacted numerous dealers in the area, beginning with the local one here, Millette Golf Cars. And we learned that the golf car industry is experiencing a great deal of supply and demand issues. We kept getting referred out to RMI out in Olathe. What they do is they sell new cars, but they also refurbish used cars. And that's what we had looked at and ultimately settled on what we thought would best fit our needs. So the 2017 model, it is basically rebuilt. The only thing that's used is the frame, new body, new top, new tires, wheels, battery, lights, everything. So we also obtained some quotes from some other dealers for used cars. However, those cars aren't available and they're waiting on parts, and they couldn't really give us a timeline of when they might be available. Could be 8 months or more. So that's why this is a little bit different purchase process than what's stipulated in the policy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I thought maybe it was because Mark stole your cart.
Well, I wasn't going to out him, but
I just wanted to inquire if you will be installing an anti-theft device.
Kill switch.
This one will have a key though, so hopefully the officers would have that with them, and it would be clearly identified as a police golf cart. No misidentifying this one.
Okay. A consideration of golf cart purchase for the police department.
Move that we approve resolution number 1364, consideration of golf cart purchase for the police department.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spawn?
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 11 is an ordinance amending Table A10 of Section 165.150.b of the City Code of the City of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, relating to the purchasing policy. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Excelsior Springs, City, Missouri, as follows.
This is a small change. Currently, our policy calls for purchases over $1,000 have purchase orders approval first, and then they can reserve the funds and then make a purchase. We would like to change that to require purchases over $3,500 require a purchase order. The department heads in all cases have to verify that funds are available in their budget to make a purchase, and so this will simplify a number of purchases that are currently taking 2 steps to make. So one small change.
Any questions? Okay, an ordinance amending Table A10 of Section 165.150B of the City Code of the City of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, relating to the purchasing policy. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Excelsior Springs, Missouri.
I move we take ordinance number 22-07-04, consideration of amendment to the purchasing policy to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. An ordinance amending Table A10 of Section 165.150B of the City Code of the City of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, relating to the purchasing policy.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-07-04, consideration of amendment to the purchasing policy.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. Was that, I've lost track. That was second reading?
Yes.
Okay. An ordinance amending Table A10 of, I thought we did vote.
No,
I did it
no,
twice.
we're ready for number 12.
Yeah, number 12,
I
appropriations.
thought we did
I'm
it
sorry.
twice. Okay. An ordinance allowing claims and appropriating to pay the same by issuing checks out of various funds of the city.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Appropriations for your approval is for a 4-week period since we didn't have council around the 4th of July. Appropriations on June the 15th of $105,612.44. Appropriations on June the 23rd of $350,031.90. Appropriations on June the 29th of $407,585.93. Appropriations on July the 6th of $262,322.04, and payroll on June the 30th of $310,178.16, and payroll on July the 15th of $343,969.86, for total appropriations for your approval, $1,779,700.33. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
An ordinance allowing claims and appropriating to pay the same by issuing checks out of the various funds of the city.
Move we take ordinance numbers 22-07-05, consideration of appropriations to second reading.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes. An ordinance allowing claims and appropriating to pay the same by issuing checks out of the various funds of the city.
I move we approve ordinance number 22-07-05, consideration of appropriations.
Second.
Roll call, Shannon?
Councilman Kowalski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Councilman Spawn,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Spear,
Yes.
Mayor Powell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, remarks by city manager?
Under your transmittals, there are a couple of things for your attention. One is the dangerous dog ordinance that has been drafted. We will be bringing that to the August 1st meeting. The second thing is frequently asked questions about service dogs, since that has been part of our discussion, as you know, just trying to sort through when is the service dog card get to be played, and so these are good answers to good questions. The June court report is included, and I also included a press release regarding the in-custody death investigation that Clay County completed. So if you have any questions about any of those items, we'll be happy to talk about them. The death was ruled an accident, and they make reference to drugs in his system. So.
Shannon?
Sonia.
Sonia, do you have something? Shannon, do you have anything?
This is the yes problem.
Sonia?
Oh, we're going the other way. No, nothing this evening, thank you, Sharon.
No. Stephen?
Nothing this evening?
Nothing,
Andrew?
thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm just glad to join you from Big Cedar Lodge, friends.
Okay. Molly and I and Lindsay Baxter and Melinda Mahaffey attended the Clay County EDC State of the Cities luncheon this last week, and we gave a State of the City report that Melinda and Molly put together and I read, and I think ours was the most interesting.
It was.
It's so interesting to see the emphasis that different cities put on different projects. All Kansas City talked about was streets. So, and they had a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting where your emphasis lies. But I thought we had a good representation in our projects that we presented. So
Thank you for doing that, Sharon.
yeah. Thank them for doing the report. That was a very nice report. Anything else? We are adjourned.
Recording